Hi, my name is Christy Lianis, and I'm going to talk to you today about productive and counterproductive behaviors in the workplace. We're going to start with Chapter 1. How have recent historical events affected the course of research in organizational psychology? One event that has changed the course of research in organizational psychology is the introduction of technology into organizations and homes. In the book, it described how technology has been beneficial to companies for improvements in email, internet access, and the size and portability of devices. This advancement has allowed employers to expand their organization into remote positions. This technology has also helped to make work arrangement more flexible, but for some, that has created a problem with being able to disengage from work in order to have some downtime from obligations to the company. Personally, I really appreciate the opportunity to participate in my work on a schedule that fits my lifestyle. But these improvements are not without drawbacks. Some of the more recent research addresses the struggles that remote employees experience, such as struggling with integrating a newcomer into being a seasoned employee. It is harder to learn the ins and outs of a company that you do not get to be part of every day. I know that I struggle with feeling like an outsider sometimes when I attend company events because the other employees that are at the main office know each other and I don't know very many of them. And when I walk in, they don't know me either. I would appreciate more opportunities to get to know my coworkers. Recent research addresses situations like mine. One study indicated that virtual opportunities for socialization may be helpful. These opportunities should not just be work-related. They should have a component of fun in order to help the remote employees enjoy their interactions with the employees at the main office. And so these are opportunities for people to converse and get to know each other, and they're set up in that way where it'll be enjoyable and fun and not really work-related. Chapter 3. Describe the socialization process for graduate students in your program. In my programs that I've participated in, there were quite a few classes, and most of them were similar in the class discussion boards and the introductions at the beginning of the semester. An interesting side note is that I've noticed that the interactions in my psychology classes are often more personable than some of the other subjects. In each class, we are encouraged to share a post about who we are and why we are taking the particular class. I appreciate this opportunity to get to briefly socialize with my classmates. I had one that required a 30-minute video chat session at the beginning week of the course. This chat session was led by the professor, and we discussed our various backgrounds with all of the students. And it was led by the professor who also shared her background, and we discussed our ideas for the project that we were having. And I thoroughly enjoy the opportunity to be able to get to know my classmates who are also in their various different parts of the program that we were in, and to hear about their ideas too, which sometimes were very different than mine. Our class was very diverse geographically as well as culturally. We appreciated and learned from each other's unique points of view. One of the other opportunities that my program provides is to assign video presentations such as this one that helps us to learn and create and present in front of our peers and our teachers. These video presentations are applicable to employment because they prepare the student to create and present information to peers and leadership and people even outside their organization. The most challenging part of producing a video presentation is making sure that the audio and visual background is professional in appearance and sound. Sometimes if it is not possible to have the appropriate background when you're at home, you might have to go somewhere else to do it. Chapter 4. How can an organization reduce or prevent work-family conflict? Organizations have the potential to relieve some of the work-family conflict experienced by the employee and the family. When the organization implements policies, programs, and benefits that are family-friendly, the employee turnover as well as feelings of burnout are greatly reduced. These kinds of work benefits can also improve job satisfaction and commitment. Research also tells us that family-friendly benefits can be so important to some families that employees will even accept a lower salary in exchange for these benefits. The impact of family-friendly policies can promote a reduction of work-family conflict, a decrease in employee turnover, reduction in burnout, and increased job satisfaction and commitment. As a military family, we've experienced our share of separations and other kinds of work-related stress, but the family benefits made us feel a little better about the drawbacks. Our children always had medical coverage. We could always go to the hospital right on base, and everything was covered as far as medical, and even prescriptions were all 100% covered. We received a housing allowance. We could live on base, or if we lived off base, we had a housing allowance, and the schools on base were good schools. When my husband deployed, we had access to family support services such as nutrition support, counseling, and even an information network that kept the spouses in contact with the battalion. Perhaps one of the most important services that our family had access to, and all of this was free access, was psychology services. Not just counseling for the spouse, but the children also had access to counseling, and the families themselves had access to counseling. While these things did not replace the absence of our military member who was gone overseas, the benefits made it easier to experience. Chapter 5. Imagine you've been asked to develop a performance assessment program for employee development. What techniques will you use to adequately evaluate employee performance? The components on Murphy's model of job performance include in-role task-oriented behaviors, which are the performance of major tasks associated with the job. So the in-role task is the role of the job. And there are also other components that measure behaviors in extra roles, such as interpersonally oriented behaviors or all interpersonal transactions that occur in the job. And then downtime behaviors, which are behaviors that happen outside of work that affect job performance, such as extra jobs, probably going to school while you're working at the same time, drug and alcohol use. And then we have destructive or hazardous behaviors, which are safety violations, sabotage, and accidents. I think that a performance assessment would be a challenging assignment to fulfill. One of the questions that I would have to figure out is who will fill out the assessment. Will the employee fill out the assessment about their own abilities, or will the supervisor complete the assessment based on observations of workplace performance and behavior? I appreciate the way that my place of employment conducts their performance assessments. They send out an email asking for each of us to share the ways that we feel that we have grown, the accomplishments that we are proud of, and the things that challenge us. At the end of the form, the supervisors fill out comments on things that they've observed, such as growth and challenges, as well as ideas for new yearly goals. Or if they have any feedback for us, they'll add that in there too, but that comes with the meeting. If I was to create a performance assessment, I would make sure to integrate information that would make the employee feel important in addition to ideas for growth, because employees who feel important and valued are going to be more likely to try to meet those goals. What are some possible common organizational constraints? Some common organizational constraints are frustration and theft. The stressor emotion model highlights how organizational conditions can lead to employee frustration, which in turn can increase the likelihood of theft. When employees face obstacles like inadequate equipment, cumbersome roles, or inefficient policies, it can create a sense of frustration and helplessness. One of the things that I've heard come up more often than not recently is toxic work environment, where there are people who just feel like the attitudes of maybe leadership or other coworkers feels toxic, and that can be an individual employee thing, or that can be just a feeling of the workplace altogether. Here's a breakdown of how frustrations might lead to theft. Perceived inequity. If employees feel that they are not being fairly treated or that their efforts are not adequately rewarded, they might resort to theft as a way to balance what they perceive as an imbalance. decreased job satisfaction. Frustrating conditions can lead to lower job satisfaction, which might make employees feel less invested in the company and more willing to engage in theft. Revenge or retribution. Employees might steal as a form of revenge against the organization or its management for creating a work environment that they find frustrating or oppressive or, like I said, toxic. Lack of commitment. When employees are frustrated and feel that their work environment is not supportive or conducive to achieving their goals, their commitment to the organization might wane, making them more prone to unethical behavior like theft. Addressing these issues involves improving work conditions, streamlining processes, and ensuring that employees feel valued and fairly treated. By reducing frustration and enhancing overall job satisfaction, organizations can mitigate the risk of employee theft and improve the work environment overall.